Hello everyone, welcome to Lockdown Sees the World. Today we talk about Outer Mongolia, where once upon a time its formidable army swept across Europe and Asia. Yet this yesterday's hegemon on the grasslands faded away today anyhow. Under the blue sky in the endless wilderness, the herds of cattle and the flock revealed with the wind blows. This lyrical melody can always bring our mind to the Norse boundless prairie. Before Xiongnu's being wiped out, nothing else in my mind. Huo Qubing, the younger general with unparalleled valor, smashed the enemy in the north, not only at the age of 18, offered thanksgiving and sacrifice to heaven at Mount Langjushu, being offered as the champion of warriors by the Emperor Han Wudi. A small hand strait over the desert vast, the sunset dims round by the river Long. Wang Wei, the frontier poet in Tang Dynasty, recorded the gorgeous landscape in the distance. In the melody of the rivers of blossom, Yue Fei, his resolve that's feeding on the flesh of the savages and drinking the blood of the Xiongnu enemy was fully recognized. Most of China's history mingled with the clashes and mergers, being the civilization of farming and nomadic. Since ancient time, in north part of China, lived many tribes of minorities and nomads. Only in different periods of history and with different names, such as Xiongnu, Donghu, Xianbi, Wuhuan, Rouran, Shiwei, Tieli, Huihu, Tujue or Turks, Qidan, Jurchen or Manchu, and Mongolia. After China's first emperor Qin Shi Huang unified the country, he sent his eldest son Fu Su and the general Meng Tian, together with 500,000 troops, drove away Xiongnu to the north and built up the Great Wall. The Emperor Han Wudi, in his reign of 60 years, that expanded its territory to Hexi corridor and Xiyu, that's currently Xinjiang area, swept away the Xiongnu to the north of the desert. Yet another two dynasties like North Song and South Song dynasty in China's history, and due to their lack of military power, even with advanced economy and culture, that they were finally conquered by the northern state of Qing and the burgeoning Mongolian Empire. Upon the boundless grassland, there were numerous tribes such as Xian, Zhadalan, Taiqiu, also those around the Lake Baikal, such as Tatar, Wongjila, Mirchi, Wachila, Kelie, Naiman, Wangu. During Ming Dynasty, the tribe of Wala in the west of the desert was dissolved into four groups separately as Zonkar, Derber, and Turkut and Koshut. In 1206, Temujin reunified most of the Mongolian tribes and was proclaimed as Genghis Khan, and began the rise of a Mongolian Empire for 100 years. During 1211 to 1215, Genghis Khan attacked the state of Qin and occupied Zhongdu, that's currently city of Beijing. And very soon, he waged 3 expeditions to the west, subdued the Central Asia and Middle East, and his descendant continued to the west and reached Austria and Yugoslavia, the wiping of about 40 countries. In Asia, Mongolia conquered Tibet, Burma, Korea, and China's Song regime. It almost took over all the Eurasia continent with 24 million square kilometers territory at the maximum, the largest empire ever seen. Due to its extra large size and internal conflict, Mongolian Empire then divided into the government of Yuan Dynasty and another 4 states of Khanate including the Golden Horde Khanate, Chagatai Khanate, Ogedai Khanate, and EU Khanate. The Golden Horde Khanate was the heritage of Jochi, the oldest son of Genghis Khan. The Jochi's eldest son, Patu, expanded to the west and conquered Moscow and Kiev. Chagatai Khanate was a heritage to Chagatai, the second son of Genghis Khan. It covered the area of China's Xinjiang and some Central Asia area. Ogedai Khanate was small in size. It lied to the east of Golden Horde Khanate, the heritage to Ogedai, the third son of Genghis Khan. Ogedai first succeeded to the throne of Khan, and later transferred to the hands of Mongol and Kublai, the two sons of Tolui, the first son of Genghis Khan. EU Khanate first conquered Baghdad and Persia, the current Iraq and Iran, and then the first Khan of EU Khanate was Hulagu, the sixth son of Tolui. With the rise of Ming Dynasty by Zhu Yuanzhang, the Yuan Dynasty collapsed in 1368 and returned to the north of the desert. The four Khanates in the west lasted only for 200 years and then crumbled. In 1480, Grand Duchy of Moscow broke away from Mongolians, and then the last government of Mongolians surrendered to Emperor of Huang Taiji of Qing Dynasty in 1634, and then gradually declined. All the Mongolians were under the control of China's Qing government, and during the reign of Kangxi Emperor, he subdued Zhengar, Garden rebels, for 3 times and held tightly to the Mongolians. Later, with the demise of Mandarin Qing governments, established the Republic of China, and the Outer Mongolia seceded from China under the help of Russia. In 1924, People's Republic of Mongolia came into being, and away from China once again with Japan's invasion to China and Russia's assistance. In February 1945, almost the end of the Second World War, American government asked the Soviet to wage war against Japan for reducing U.S. Army casualties. And the Soviets agreed with the prerequisite of maintaining the status quo of Outer Mongolia. And they put it in the Yalta Conference without noticing to China. In June 1945, China's nationalist government sent delegates to Moscow for negotiation. And Stalin said, if one day China gets stronger and attacked from the north from Mongolia, then the Siberia Railway and the Soviets will be cut in half. So Mongolia is needed as a buffer zone. Confronting the aggressiveness of the Soviet, Chinese government had to give in and permitted Mongolian referendum in October 1945, with the final result of independence of Mongolia, to which the Chinese nationalist government recognized in January 1946. The People's Republic of China and Outer Mongolia established foreign relations, and then both joined in the Soviet socialist bloc. Only with Mongolian government was totally controlled by the Soviet in military and in politics. And even Mongolian traditional language was modified to Russian language characters. And Mongolia was a genuine satellite state to the Soviet. With deterioration of Sino-Soviet relations, the same to the relation between China and Outer Mongolia, time even hostile, the Soviet garrisoned a large amount of troops on the borders close to China. The Soviet Union then collapsed in 1991. The Outer Mongolia then lost the assistance from Russia and maintained the balanced buffer between China and Russia. Outer Mongolia has a size of 1.5 million square kilometers and with 3 million people. Ulaanbaatar as its capital, the world's second largest inland locked country next to Kazakhstan. There are large areas of Gobi Desert in its domain, and also with rich natural mining resources, and mainly relied on the industry of animal husbandry, with its economy and trade deeply depend on China. In 2020, its GDP was 13.1 billion US dollars, about 1/20th of China's Inner Mongolia region. And at the same year, China's GDP was 14.7 trillion US dollars, more than 1,100 times compared to that of the Outer Mongolia. In diplomacy, the Outer Mongolia mostly focused on Russia, and also hopes more cooperation with America and Japan to reduce influences from Russia and China. On one hand, it needs tremendous help from China's investment assistance, yet it was also vigilant and hostile to China in case China's more leverages and might be taking over once again. Some Chinese might expect Outer Mongolia will return to China willingly, which is totally unrealistic. And Outer Mongolia also has Nazi organizations that are against the Chinese. For example, the Mongolian White Nazi Cross is one of the Nazi organizations, similar to the mafia or kind of hodgepodge. They're worshipping Genghis Khan, the creator of the Mongolian Empire, but meanwhile saluting to Hitler and hostile to Chinese. The Chinese Mongolians and also the Mongolians who are friendly to the Chinese, to which the Mongolian government tolerates more or less. A video on the website in 2015 showed that a few Chinese tourists were mistreated and insulted by these gangsters. Also recently, a Mongolian singer decorated with the similar Nazi design was punched by a Russian diplomat in Ulaanbaatar, to which the Nazi group did nothing to protest, or it only the bullies the Chinese, yet yields to the Russians. Outer Mongolia regards itself as the only genuine heritage of a Mongolian tradition and culture. Yet there are also 6 million Mongolians in China's Inner Mongolia, who are the descendants of Genghis Khan, the youngest son of Tolly. Since Kublai's Yuan dynasty to today, the Inner Mongolians have maintained their own writing characters and traditions, to which the Outer Mongolia felt embarrassed. And more embarrassment came from the ruthlessness of history and the great sense of loss. For in retrospect, the Genghis Khan Mongolian Empire had ruled over Russia in Europe and China in Asia. Yet today, both Russia and China have become great powers in the world. Russia had gained its name as the nation of warriors. Even today's Russo-Ukraine war lasted a little bit longer than expected. And China also developed stronger and mighty. And Outer Mongolia is surrounded by Russia and China, the two big giants. Neither of them it can easily challenge. In Outer Mongolia, traditional melody can still be heard, and the game of Mongolian wrestling can be seen. Yet today's world is no more the age of the fighting of the horsemen, and the greatest splendor of the past Mongolian Empire had faded away. Here comes the end of today's program, and thanks for your joining in, and see you next time. Thank you, bye.